We have got Formula V. He's going to take a quick breather myself. Stephen, I'm sure you're going to probably hang in there for the start of this one.
Oh, you
I'll
bet
be
I
back
am.
with you in just one moment.
I'm sure you will. This is the one that a lot of people here this weekend have been waiting for. The biggest grid of the weekend at 37 cars has put on an absolute show this weekend in Formula V racing. Maury Fordham Trophy on the line. And, of course, this weekend we are honouring the late, great Brian Sambo Sampson. And I'm sure he's going to be watching this one from the heavens, because not only has Speco and VHT been a big sponsor and a big part of Island Magic since 2009, but he has been a big part of Formula V for many, many years. And I'm sure this one would have tickled the old ivories for him if he was still with us today. Now, there's a few scenarios to play out here. We'll have a look at the grid first. So Daniel Reynolds has won both the races so far this weekend, so he's in the box seat in terms of the round points for the Australian Series, but there's still an Australian champion to decide. Michael Kinsella will start alongside him. The two-time defending national champion is out of P2. Heath Collinson and Jake Rowe, the two Victorians on the grid furthest up, they will start third and fourth, with Lee Partridge and David Casely. David's from WA, probably WA's best hope at this one, starting out of sixth, with Nick Jones and Curtis Porter from Queensland in the number 67. He'll be out of eighth place. Over the page, Brandon Taylor, who does a lot of his racing here in Victoria, but hails from WA, he's ninth. Andre Curran, who's in the Exotic Fleet branding, and JRD, number 32, he'll start out of 10th. Alex McDonald was involved in a little tangle with Reef McCarthy. We got the verdict on that after race number 2, so it was an accidental contact. He's in 11th. Ash Clifford in the Star Res entry, also out of the JRD stable. He's out of 12th. Followed by Darren Power and Damien Spinello, both out of the Acura Motorsport stable on the 7th row of the grid. Claudia Lennox is the highest placed of all the ladies this weekend. She's 15th, ahead of Rod Lisson from WA, the Light Tech Systems number 71, starting in 16th. Then we move over the page to Malachi Windsor in 17th. Brock Hamilton, Ken Philby, it's been great to have Ken back this weekend. Hails from Queensland, has done his racing in Victoria for so many years, 19th. And Gavin Stubbs, the Carrera Automotive Repairs entry, out of 20th. Ed Lawrence from Queensland, Charlie Richardson all the way from Bendigo in the JSA in 22nd, Brodie Nunn from Queensland, Rocco Spinley's in his first ever outing for Acura Motorsports in 24th. Then you got Queensland's Michael Westerhout, Cameron Bell, Kelly Egan, Danny Chero from WA in 28th. And we round out the rest of the field. We've got Mick Fisher, Paul Maltoni from WA, Sean McKenzie from Queensland, Kathy Lisson from WA, Kenneth Ray from Queensland, Mark Moran also from Queensland. And off the back of the grid, we're going to have Franz Esterbauer in the sole remaining 1200 class car. And Reef McCarthy, after the accident in race number 2 this morning, will start rear of grid. Greg Johnston has unfortunately put the car on the trailer. He has retired after a front hub failed in race number 2. So that is a good segue, because in the 1200 series results for the Australian series, that settles the point score. It will be Franz Esterbauer will be the lead car in position number 1. Greg Johnston's retired his car for this round. So the series points overall is Stephen Butcher, followed by Greg Johnson, and Franz, if he finishes race number 3, will be third overall in the 1200 series for the Formula V Australian series. In terms of the Australian Series points, this is the most crucial part, because there's 4 rounds and you drop your worst round. In 1600s, it is down to 2. It is Tyrone Wiseman, who is not here this weekend, so his worst round will be this round. He'll drop 0 points. Michael Kinsella is 21 points behind, so the math is pretty simple for Michael Kinsella. If he finishes 5th or higher, he will accrue 22 points as a minimum for finishing 5th. He will then be crowned the Australian Formula V Series champion. So that's the math in that department. The other math that's been worked out is for the last round of the Formula V Victorian Championship. And that honour has gone to Reef McCarthy. So he has won that well and truly before the racing commenced this weekend. The main battle was for 2nd and 3rd. There was between Lee Partridge in 2nd and Nick Jones in 3rd. There was about 34 points or so separating those drivers coming into the weekend. Lee's finished ahead of Nick on both occasions so far, so that second and third place is pretty much been put to bed as well. So the order in the Vic Championship will be McCarthy, from Partridge, and then Jones the top 3. So the only interest left is what happens in the Australian Series. The man on the front row of the grid on the right-hand side of your shot there in prime position to secure those honours, and who is going to take home the Maury Fordham Trophy after this one is out. Reef McCarthy at the very back of the grid. His girlfriend's going to hate me saying this, but he has spent the last 4 years married to this trophy, and he is going to have his work cut out for him all the way from the back of the grid. But if evidence is the key, and what Jake Rowe did yesterday after a failed getaway from the start of the grid, it is not going to be an insurmountable task for McCarthy. He might need a bit of help, but he's going to give it everything he's got.
Let's have a look and see if Daniel Reynolds can get away like he has done in the checkmate very, very stoutly indeed. Slow mover in the middle of the pack there, which everyone's bunching up behind as well. So we get it clear, and it will be the checkmate that runs down into turn 1. Kinsella goes with him here as well. The 26 there weighing in very closely of Lee Partridge.
Check out McCarthy. He's left and right, halfway up the front straight, going around as many cars as he can. He was almost all completely off the circuit there, trying to gain as many positions as he could. He's already up into the mid-pack. There he is, just back in the middle of the screen here, going round Darren Power, who was the car that was slow away on the grid. So that's going to present him up into about 14th or so place after just 2 corners.
Wow, what a start there. This guy's a class act, Reef McCarthy. He went out on the painted surface. That in itself, whether he's a brave or stupid, with the conditions the way they currently are, it's lucky it's turned out to be a brave thing for him, because you don't want to do that again. As we're getting a good look into the side of the car there, the number 16 of Charlie Richardson as well there, the Jacer for Beecham Racing in there as well. Have a look at this car. There he is, mixed up in the middle there. The 61 goes storming on through the field. Let's see where it can pop up. Water does find its level, as does oil. But this is fantastic stuff here for Reef McCarthy. He has, as you said, been married to this award, and he's doing a tremendous job. It's like they've cleared the track in front of him. In fact, he's got a really very clear, dedicated line for himself to run on.
He certainly has. He's not too far behind the lead group of cars as well. Damien Spinello's the next one for him. He cleared a big pack of cars heading up through Hayshed. Spinello will be the next target. Then there's a bit of an air margin to a group of cars at number 7, and then there's a lead group of 4 cars already starting to kick away. That's Reynolds, Kinsella, Collinson, and Jake Rowe, it appears, as McCarthy has made his way past this group. Rod Liston's now made his way to the front of the group that McCarthy's just cleared. Down the front chute they come for the first time. We're expecting to get around about 11 laps, the duration for the trophy race. Here's that lead group that I was talking about a few moments ago. It is indeed, actually it's 3 of the 4 cars that I mentioned. Collinson was the one that I called that I thought would have been in that group, but I was looking at it from the commentary box down at turn number 12. It is in fact Lee Partridge who is in that group of 4 cars. So it's Kinsella, Reynolds, Rowe and Partridge. And Rowe's gone to the head of the field. So there's a good little gap there. It's around about 2 seconds back to the next group of cars, which is headed by the departing Heath Collinson. And the news that came through earlier this morning is that the JRD are going to be taking a little bit of a break from Formula V. They've been at it for some 20 years now. They've fostered many young drivers and continued to look after the seasoned veterans like Heath Collinson, so he's looking to send them out on a high while they take a much-deserved break from Formula V racing in Victoria next year. They're going to go and do a couple of other things. There'll still be cars kicking around, and all those cars that they have under their wing will still likely be racing, but we do want to thank them for all the service that they've done to the Formula V community over the past 20 years.
Certainly Brady and the whole crew there.
Oh, it's a car
very
off.
Hard to get great results.
David Casely off at turn number 9, so that was probably WA's best shot, I would say, at getting a win here on the board. He's one of the mechanical gurus in the West Australian contingent, so I'm wondering if something's just let go there on the WA number 7, because it didn't look like there was any contact in that pack. He's got going again, so he's actually got some smoke coming out of the back there as well, so it might be a mechanical failure for number 7.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a coming together or something in the tyres rubbing on a suspension component, but yeah, touching on, that's coming out of the...
That's out of the gearbox.
Gearbox, yeah, that's right out the back of the car.
It actually looks like he's lost his rear muffler as well, so maybe there has been a little bit of contact.
2 battle packs starting to form within this top 15 amount of cars, but it is interesting, the JRD combination there. Brett has been at the top of this game and as well as in Formula 4 as well for a number of seasons. So I guess they've earned a break from the game, bit of a refresh, bit of a year off, maybe go and do some water skiing or something different on the weekends and see what happens.
Yeah, I think they're going to be doing a little bit of car building in the time period that they're away. They're just not going to be doing too many race meets. They're just going to basically have some time off to recoup, do a bit of family time, travel a touch, and then work out what they want to do from there. Now, McCarthy was scored as 10th across the line, fastest lap of the race by a country mile, actually. He was the only driver in the 1:53 bracket last time around. The fastest driver outside of that was a 54.4 from the lead group of 4 cars. So McCarthy's got pace to burn here. He's just got to pick his way through this group of Sabres that's on the road at the moment, headed by Collinson. You've got Nick Jones in there in the green and blue machine. Then Brandon Taylor, that's the Gippy powder coating, number 29. He's just cleared Andre Curran in the exotic fleet branding, number 32. And now sides up the inside of Brandon Taylor, who made that easy for him. They share the same stable. And McCarthy now right onto the back gearbox of Nick Jones.
Paisley's made it into the pit lane now, confirmed there as well. Just watching Alex McDonald there as well in the 51. Started out of 11th, well into the 10 now, so a bit of a move there as well. Have a look at this pack starting to really form up there as well. We're talking just inside the 20, and indeed some outside the 20 in that pack.
How big is this pack? This is a monumental struggle. This is probably from about 14th on back to about 24th at this rate. You've got Claudia Lennox in there, Paul Maltoni's in there, Darren Powers recovering after his tardy start. They're all swapping and changing places there as they go along. It looks like Brock Hamilton's broken away from that pack, and he's actually up to 14th. Ahead of Rod Lisson, and now you've seen McCarthy scored as 6th across the line there. He's tucked in now behind Collinson. Another fastest lap for McCarthy, and if he can clear Collinson, this is going to be the interesting point that I want to look at. If he clears Heath Collinson, how quickly can he catch the lead group of 4 cars? Can he catch the lead group of 4 cars? Because we've seen him do this time and time again here at Phillip Island, go out on his own solo and just absolutely blow the competition away.
Have a look at this. Claudia Lennox is leading this group. In fact, it's Ken Philby, and that goes right back to position number 30 in this group that we're watching here. Right there, there's Claudia Lennox.
Yeah, there's Philby in the 25 in the front of shot with Gavin Stubbs right behind him. Oh, 3 wide into the braking zone for turn number 4. Who's that going the long way around on the outside? That I think that's Kelly Egan in the 42 maybe. She might have rounded up 2 drivers there on the outside of turn 4. And yes, it is. It was the
massive battle. This is
42.
17th.
Sorry, it wasn't Kelly Egan. It was there's 2 black cars in that one. I'm just trying to work out who the second black car is because they look very, very similar from a distance. But that was a very, very gutsy move on the outside of turn 4. You very rarely see them go 3 wide like that into turn 4.
Kelly Egan's actually still out in 25th, but this battle is 17, 18, 19, 20, right back to about 28th now. So an absolute massive battle for this group, and it is, I guess it's pride for being inside the top 20 at the end of this weekend's racing. Oh, big lock up there, the number 6 just about squirrel rolled it around there. That was not a good look at all. Paul Maltoni gathered it all up. Great car control as we go to shots back out in the front of this field. Kinsella with Rowe. Have a look at Lee Partridge down the middle of the track. Now the checkmate gets pushed back to 4th spot. So Daniel Reynolds in the 78 goes back to 4th, and we see Lee Partridge show his nose inside the 2 since the first time since early yesterday in race number 1.
How's Jake Rowe wrenching on the wheel? He's got a little bit of an air margin at the moment. He's sort of stolen a little bit of an advantage while these 3 start to fight and squabble. McCarthy quickest again last time around, but it was only by a mere 3/10 or so of a second, and he's cleared Heath Collinson. There he is in the back of the shot. It's about 3 seconds the margin to the lead group of cars. Oh, and he's had a major lock up there going into turn number 4, and almost a little bit of contact with Andre Curran on the inside. A little bit unsighted there as McCarthy turned violently back towards the apex at 4. Look at him sliding it.
Heath Collinson staying with them there as well, so he's doing a proud bit of work there. Kinsella is under all sorts of strife now. In fact, he's dropped back to, is it P4 that we're seeing Kinsella in the 35?
Correct.
Yes, it is. He's back there as well. The 66 of Jake Rowe out in front, doing a terrific job for GR Electrics. And they plunge down into MG now for 4.5 minutes, or just under 5 minutes, sorry, left in this journey there. Lee Partridge, as fresh as a daisy, slots into position number 2.
Here we go, coming up the back part through Hayshed. This massive pack again with Claudia Lennox involved in it. It's it's the number 50 machine. That was the one there, Brodie Nunn from Queensland, who pulled that 3-wide manoeuvre at turn 4 a lap ago. Aren't they mixing up? The Queenslanders have absolutely come to play in the mid-pack this weekend. Michael Westerhout now goes to the lead of this queue as well. He's from Queensland, so there's a big 6 or 7 car contingent from Queensland, all in the big trailer that came down deliberately for this event. So it'd be great to have them down for this weekend. I'm sure that they are looking forward to potentially coming back again if the racing has gone the way that they have this weekend. They've been big smiles on their faces every time I go down and pay them a visit. They're so happy and so welcoming. They've enjoyed every single minute of it so far. Let's have a look here. How quick was McCarthy last time around? He's got the margin down to 2.4 seconds to this leading group of cars. There's 3 3/4 minutes left. Don't discount the Beecham Sabre number 1. If he wins this from here, he is an absolute genius.
I'm not going to discount him, that's for sure. This is wide open. I'm going to say Partridge is now relegated. He led across the line last time round, so this is just that jostling that we get used to in Formula V racing at this point in time. But it's between Reynolds, Partridge, Rogan, Sella, McCarthy, Collinson, Curran, maybe even Nick Jones weighing in on this one as well, back as far as 8th at the moment. Have a look at these aerial shots. That really does give you an idea of how close Formula Vs get to each other when they get in battle packs like this.
That just also illustrates how much respect and commitment every driver has for each other. There's plenty of room there. There was, there wasn't a cigarette paper's width between the wheels. There was plenty of racing room and plenty of fairness going on there to make sure that, all the race cars go home straight. That's
interesting if we had to take that same shot after they hang the last lap board out, whether it would be the same.
Oh, I'd imagine there'll be a few people throwing the kitchen sink at it in the closing laps. But one thing that Darren Power did stand up and say when he welcomed all the interstate competitors yesterday was we want to make sure everybody finishes. We want to make sure all the race cars go home straight. So far this weekend, that has been the case. But with 2.5 minutes left on the clock, it's now the intensity level starts to raise. And here goes Partridge. He wants the turn at the front. This group of 4 cars has been the leading contingent of 4 cars in this race. For the last 2 races this weekend, it's been a battle pack of 10 or 11 or sometimes even 12 cars, and it's eventually whittled away, and over the laps have gone as it have diminished, and we eventually ended up with probably a pack of 7 or 8 cars at the finish. This is the smallest group we've had all weekend long fighting it out for the Maury Fordham Trophy, and McCarthy again starts to bring the lap times into play. He's still quicker than this leading group of cars, but it wasn't by much last time around. Another 0.4 of a second, so he's starting to get into slipstream range here.
Have a look at Rowe. Now he's got Lee Partridge behind. Lee just trying to position the car best, just fine-light adjustments. The great thing about these Formula Vs is you can see the hands of the drivers. Lee just feeding in ever so skillfully. Those little vernier corrections on the wheel there, just ever so slightly changing the angle. It's a millimetre here, a thou there. The hands there, he's working very hard there, just trying to get the car to grip up and turn in at the top of the hill. And you can just about see from the head angle of the driver, they'll be starting to get sore. Their neck muscles will be starting to hurt now with the amount of laps that they've done here this weekend. This is probably only going to go about 8 laps, this one, the final. But certainly a lot of G-forces in these little cars as they go around lap after lap, and you can start to see the head start to move around a little bit here as well. They come around to the strike this time. No, we're going to go another 2 laps. The last lap board nowhere near being readied out there at the moment. So we're going to be 4 wide now. Across the line they go.
And McCarthy's there. This is important now. He was quick again into the 52s. 52.6 for McCarthy. He's right there, tucked in behind Kinsella. The stakes have gone up another notch here. Maury Fordham Trophy on the line. Australian Series in 1600cc class on the line at the last race of the year for Formula V. And McCarthy now goes through to position number 2. Kinsella goes through to the lead in car number 35. National champion 2 times in a row, looking to add another bit of silverware to his collection. McCarthy trying to extend his run to 5 consecutive. Jake Rowe looking for another one of these trophies, and then the other 2 drivers in Partridge and Daniel Reynolds have not ever won any of these trophies before, so they're looking for, for Partridge, he has not won it, but Daniel Reynolds is looking for another one as well.
Partridge has been ejected out of this group. It's at the back there in the number 6 there in the MPC Auto Speed outfit. But that is to no avail, really. It's got to get onto the back of these 2 in front now. It's Kinsella and it is Reef McCarthy here. So looking for Jake Rowe to weigh in on this as well as they come across the top of Lukey Heights now. They've lost touch with these 2 out in front. So Kinsella and McCarthy. Boy, they have lost touch. That's 2 or 3 car lengths there for back to Daniel. And then we look back to Collinson there as well, out of the back of this this group. Here's our 2. These are the ones we're going to be watching, Steve.
Absolutely. Last lap board is being readied. These 2 have started to edge away from Daniel Reynolds, who still holds the round honours overall at the moment, but it's all on the line here. 1 lap to go. 4.5 kilometres left of racing for Formula V in 2023. McCarthy leads them across the line by about half a car length. Now surges to the front. He knows what's at stake here. He's got pride on the line. He's got a title to defend. He's defended it for the last 3 consecutive years, but it's not over and done with yet. Kinsella following right in the wheel tracks down to Southern Loop. Rowe needs to leave a little bit of room on the inside for Daniel Reynolds in Paul Corcoran's checkmate, and he does precisely that, but that also forces Reynolds to have to check up. He might lose a spot to Partridge exiting Southern Loop.
Gee, I thought we had a race in 2 now. We've got a race in 5 again now. They've just joined on the back here as well. Oh no, slowing on the inside, or was that an optical illusion for the 61 of Reef McCarthy? It was an optical illusion. Thank you for the drone shot director, because now we see how close they are. Really, it is absolutely wide open. This is Formula V racing. You can't fit 4 wide through there, guys. Or can you?
Well, I thought it went from 4 wide to 3
3/4. Yes.
At Siberia. Half the lap gone. 6 more corners left. McCarthy still leads this one. Look at the drone shot. It's really showing that this rain is still not 100% gone away yet. Reynolds now buys into this one. He's going to be afforded some space on the inside at turn number 9. Now, that's not a bad decision from McCarthy, because you don't want to be the high man on a totem pole that leads out of the last couple of corners. You will lose your advantage to the line. You'll be overhauled. But has he left too much of a margin to Reynolds? He's gone through turn number 10 pretty quickly, and Reynolds has won all 2 of these races so far. I think he might have just done enough to head them off into the final corner here. Reynolds set sail. McCarthy from Rowe. It's going to be a very tight finish here. Has Reynolds done enough? Has Reynolds done enough? I think he might have just done enough. He's going to get his 2nd Maury Fordham trophy by less than a 10th. Since 2011, the last time he won it, 12 years, a long wait for Daniel Reynolds, and he gets the job done by 0.08 of a second. 5
cars within 0.4 of a second across the line there. Reynolds, McCarthy, Rowe, Partridge and Kinsella have thrilled us right throughout the 2023 Island Magic and the running of the Maury Fordham Trophy. They're still coming to the line, Steve. They
still are coming to the line here. You've got the 74 in here, Michael Westerhout. You've got the 44 of Darren Power right down the inside at turn number 12. So this one's going to go to the wire as well. This has been an extraordinary pack of cars that have just not left each other all season long, or all race long, actually. There they go through. And still streaming across the line here. There was a few drivers in that one that sort of really just faded into the other pack there. Collinson was up in the pointy end at the beginning of it. He dropped back towards Andre Curran. And I'm looking at the point standings here. Kinsella finished 5th. That's precisely what he needed to do at a bare minimum to win the Australian Series by 1 solitary point.
How good was that? I'll leave you to catch your breath for a minute there, Steve, and you can do the points and Casintas as we look at this. Reynolds takes the victory, and he'll take, for this weekend, the Maury Fordham Trophy, and does a great job in doing so. Reef McCarthy home for 2nd in this race. Jake Rowe, Lee Partridge just off the back of that podium, and like I said, 0.3 to that stage and 0.4 to Michael Kinsella, and he did exactly what he had to do. Heath Collinson was next, but I guess in that time, in that group of 5, Reece McCarthy from the rear of the grid, that is just one special drive.
That is an amazing drive. 36 cars deep, and he got all the way to second place. Granted, he had a few extra laps in there to do it, but what a performance. If I said before, if he had stolen that win, he was an absolute genius, and he nearly did it. So Reynolds and McCarthy and Rowe will be your podium sitters for the Maury Fordham Trophy. Lee Partridge and Michael Kinsella there, half a second covering the top 5 cars after 9 laps of absolutely intense racing at a super high level. Absolutely outstanding. Outside the top 10, Ash Clifford, he was actually probably a bit unlucky. 9.2 seconds off the back of a quality field like this. Absolutely top-notch for him. And right through the field, you cannot fault any of the driving in Formula V. I hyped this up yesterday, Darren, and I'm glad I did, because it's been an absolute pleasure to call these guys all season long and to go out on such a high in Formula V. We wish all the drivers that have come from Western Australia, from Queensland, from the ACT and New South Wales a safe passage home, and a Merry Christmas to all of them, as well as the Victorian Formula Vs. I'm out of breath. That was a fantastic final trophy race for Formula V, and to thank, we've still got one more race of the year to go.